Narrator calm, emotional tone. For more than 40 years, people saw Dallin H. Oakes as a man of honor. Calm, wise, respected. His words carried weight, his presence authority. But beside him, always just a step behind, was Margaret. Quiet, graceful, the kind of woman who made everyone else feel comfortable while she faded into the background. When the cameras turned toward him, she smiled softly. When the world applauded him, she stayed silent. People called it elegance. But no one ever asked what stories lived behind that silence. Margaret had always believed that love meant patience. When she married Dallin, she was young, full of hope, and proud to walk beside him. The early years were beautiful. Late-night talks, small dinners, dreams for the future. But time has a way of changing things. Dallin's world kept expanding. Meetings, speeches, applause. His life grew louder, and hers quieter. She waited through long nights, smiled through empty mornings. And every time someone asked how she was doing, she said the same thing. "I'm fine." Her friends noticed the difference. How her laughter became softer, her eyes dimmer. But Margaret brushed it off. "I'm just tired," she would say. The truth was, she wasn't tired. She was lonely. Over the years, she found peace in small things. Her garden, her morning tea, the sound of rain on the window. Those became her companions when words disappeared from her marriage. Sometimes, while sitting on the porch, she'd look at the stars and whisper to herself, "Does he ever miss the girl I used to be?" But she never asked him. Because she had learned that questions often led to silence. And silence was easier to live with. She wanted to speak up, to say how much she missed being seen. But every time she looked at him, busy, distracted, she swallowed her words. Maybe later, she'd think. But later never came. Years passed. Outsiders called them the perfect couple. An example of lasting love, they said. Margaret never corrected them. She wore her silence like a mask. Until one quiet evening. She sat by the fireplace, sorting through old boxes. Dusty photographs, faded letters, forgotten memories. She wasn't searching for anything special. But sometimes what we find when we're not looking changes everything. At the bottom of an old drawer, hidden under a stack of papers, she found a small white envelope. It was yellowed with age, her name written on it in neat handwriting. To Margaret. There was no stamp, no date, no return address. Her hands trembled slightly as she opened it. Inside was a short note. Only a few lines. "You deserve to know the truth. I hope someday you'll find the strength to ask for it." That was all. No name. No signature. Just truth. She stared at the words for a long time. Her mind raced. Who wrote this? What truth? Why now? The room was silent. Only the fire crackled, whispering secrets she couldn't hear. That night, Margaret couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, the words came back. You deserve to know the truth. Memories she had long buried began to return. The late-night calls, the unexpected trips, the distant tone in his voice whenever she asked too much. By morning, she knew one thing. This letter was not a mistake. She searched through boxes, journals, photo albums, but found nothing. It was as if the letter had appeared from nowhere, carrying the weight of everything she had ignored. And for the first time in decades, Margaret whispered something new to herself. Maybe it's time. It was a calm morning like every other. The garden bathed in sunlight. The air gentle. Nothing unusual, until a knock echoed at the door. Margaret wasn't expecting anyone. She wiped her hands and opened it. A woman stood there, mid-50s, neat, composed, but with eyes that carried years of unrest. "Mrs. Oakes?" she asked softly. "Yes," Margaret replied. "Can I help you?" The woman hesitated, clutching her bag. "My name is Clara Jensen. I'm sorry to come without notice, but I think there's something you should know." Margaret frowned slightly but stepped aside. "Please," she said gently. "Come in." Inside they sat across from each other. Silence filled the room like smoke. Clara reached into her bag and pulled out a photograph. She placed it on the table. Margaret looked down, her breath caught. It was a picture of Dallin taken decades ago, standing beside Clara, smiling. Her voice trembled. "Where did you get this?" Clara's eyes filled with guilt. "It was taken in 1986. We worked together. For a long time." He paused, voice breaking. "I didn't come here to hurt you, Mrs. Oakes. But there's something you never knew. Something I can't carry anymore." Margaret's heart pounded. "What do you mean?" Clara took a deep breath. "I was the one who wrote you that letter." The room went still. "You wrote it?" "Yes, years ago. I wasn't sure if you'd ever see it. I think he may have tried to destroy it." Margaret's hands trembled. "Why? Why would you write to me?" Tears welled in Clara's eyes. "Because your husband and I were close. It ended a long time ago, but I couldn't live with the guilt. He told me he'd tell you the truth, but he never did. So I sent that letter, hoping one day you'd know." The silence that followed was deep, not the kind that hides pain, but the kind that reveals it. Margaret stared at the photo. Two young faces, smiling, unaware of the heartbreak their choices would someday cause. Finally she spoke. Her voice was calm, almost too calm. "You didn't have to come here. But you did. And maybe that means something." Clara nodded, tears falling freely. "I just wanted peace," she whispered. "I'm sorry." When Clara left, the house felt colder. But inside, something in Margaret had shifted. For the first time, she wasn't afraid of the truth. That evening, Dallin came home late like always. He smiled faintly. "You're still up?" he asked. Margaret nodded. "Yes. There's something we need to talk about." He looked surprised. "What's wrong?" She didn't rush. She stood there, studying him, the man she had loved, trusted, waited for. Then softly said, "A woman came to see me today. Her name is Clara Jensen." The color drained from his face. His lips parted, but no words came. "I see," he finally whispered. Margaret sat down across from him. Her voice was steady. "For years I stayed silent. I thought silence protected love. But now I see, it only hides the truth." He lowered his eyes. "I never wanted to hurt you." "I know," she said. "But you did. Not with betrayal but with absence. With years of distance and things left unsaid." For the first time, Dallin had no defense. The man known for wisdom had no words. Margaret stood, walked to the window, and looked out at the fading light. "It's strange," she whispered, "how truth always finds its way home." Soft piano returns, hopeful tone. That night she didn't cry. She didn't rage. She just breathed. Because for the first time in years she was free. Not from him, but from the silence she built around herself. The truth had hurt, yes. But it had also given her something she had lost long ago. Her voice. And as the dawn light touched the edge of the sky, Margaret whispered to herself, "This is not the end. This is the beginning."